Evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Vile News stream. So tonight I've got a very, very special guest. Tonight I'm joined by Tracy Blackwell, who is the mum of Josh, who was murdered over 6 years and 4 months ago, along with his two friends, Harry and George, as they made their way to a friend's 16th birthday party. Ever since that day, Tracy's been campaigning tirelessly to get justice for Josh and both of his friends as well. So the purpose of tonight's stream is because people, it's not a dig at anyone at all, but people, like, incidents like this happen, horrific murders, heinous crimes take place, and the victims are forgotten. And ultimately, Tracy and her family and the boys, they've not had justice, and they should have had justice. And ultimately, this is one of, in my opinion, one of the biggest cover-ups in British history. So yeah, thanks for joining me tonight, Tracy. I hope you're okay. Well as you can be.
Yeah, fighting and surviving, James. Can I just ask, can you check if this is actually going? Because I've clicked on the link and it said something went wrong, but that doesn't
Yeah,
surprise
we're live. We're live.
Right,
okay. Yeah, 100% live. Yeah. There is some issues sometimes with the chat. It's not as interactive as other platforms as well. I'm just going to share this over to Telegram as well. So what I wanted to do was the purpose of the stream. I've got the documentary that you produced, and I want to go through it with you, and then obviously some of the other evidence as well, because I think it's important that this is fresh in people's minds as well, because there are so many victims of injustices in the UK, and the fact that you've been fighting so long now, and that sick individual that did it, that savage, is now walking the streets of the UK. Meanwhile, you know, you're still fighting to get justice, and it's simply wrong. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to hopefully more people becoming aware of it, and then hopefully we can really start to push on. But I know it must be extremely difficult for you, Tracy, as well, because it's been over 6 years now.
Well, I think it's just shocking what I've had to do over the last 6 years. You know, when you use their processes in their legal system, which they are meant to follow, and they don't follow. And that's a fact, and that's one of the biggest things I've seen since being in this horrendous ordeal. I've had to do all these things myself, and then you're demonized for coming out on the streets and telling everyone what happened, because they don't want people to know. They've tried to hide the story from the beginning, therefore they try and hide me. I've been attacked online for the last 6 years. That's the norm now. If I went 1 week without someone saying something vile, I would then find it odd. But yeah, when you follow their processes, but they're not following them at all themselves, and then you come out on the streets, they don't like it.
Yeah, no, they certainly didn't like the protest that we were all a part of. Obviously, you were campaigning tirelessly every week. You were out trying to raise awareness about what happened to the boys. Like, I remember when I met you for the first time, like we'd been speaking on the internet, and you told me about what had happened to the boys, and I just felt compelled to help. And then we went all over the UK: Manchester, Newcastle, Sunderland, Leeds, Cornwall, Wales, Poland. Obviously, Poland's not part of the UK, but we went everywhere to raise awareness as to what happened to them. And it's so sad that this can be allowed to happen in the UK. And this is one of the other reasons why I absolutely despise the politicians, the police, the entire political system, is because they knowingly cover up things like this. And as people are about to see as we go through this documentary, there's over 50 coppers that are involved in this cover-up, and you've even got politicians such as Boris Johnson and Sadiq Khan that know all about it and have done what they can to keep it, under wraps. I've got also obviously the letter from the letter to the Attorney General, which was wrote by Nick Hurd, and then obviously he got sent off, and he packed off to Northern Ireland, and then out of politics. So it's like everybody that gets involved and tries to raise awareness of this case, the police do, they come after them. They didn't like it when they were coming up against, because at the end of the day, you didn't ask to do this, you got forced to do this. And like, I know firsthand how difficult you've had it over the past 6 years, especially with, so I'm not going to go into a massive slagging thing with other individuals, but other individuals have done, or have tried to do serious damage to a cause that's about getting justice for children being murdered. And that's one thing that we should all be, united in, discuss that, is the fact that, you've got a justice system that can do this to, to free boys, and that can do this. And then you've got people within the UK that can actually go out of their way to try and, tell lies and ultimately muddy the waters a bit, which is morally reprehensible. But what I'll do is I'll get the first bit of the documentary played, because I feel that's an important bit as well. It just gives a rough background for people that, there is some people that are new to the politics and activism that might not have seen it, especially since the great reset with the COVID lockdowns. But I'll get that playing now. So let me just tie that up. Should work. Present, share screen.
Before you start that, James, can I just apologise to any of your viewers that are watching this? I've clicked on the link. It's not allowing me to view it. I'm aware that other people can see it, but I can't. So if anyone's asking anything, I can't see their question. So I'm apologising.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Go on, Trace. Sorry, Trace. Go on. Carry on. I didn't interrupt you there.
Yeah, no, I was just apologising to your viewers. If anyone do ask any questions throughout this live stream, I can't. Oh, if you put them on the screen, I can see them on StreamYard, but I can't see this on Twitter because it keeps telling me something's gone wrong. Of course it does. So just letting you know now. I can see this one. So hi, Serena.
Yeah, Serena's cool. She's always watching the streams. What I'll do is then if there's anybody that's got questions or anything, I'll highlight them. I'll make a note of it as well, so we can address those as well.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get the opening bit up. Share screen. I've just got to apologise because there's a WWE wrestling video in the middle of that. Just makes me look silly, but here we go. All right, let's play. Is that on the screen? Yeah, that's all
it's
there.
on the screen.
All right.
Three teenage boys have been killed after being hit by a car while standing at a bus stop in West London last night.
They were also standing near to the bus stop behind me with a group of other teenagers who police say were all unharmed in the incident. It's difficult to know exactly what happened, but there are some markings presumably made by investigators on the road along here, and it would appear that the car has hit a wall, a fence, it's even hit an ambulance, sorry, not an ambulance, a lamppost, which has been shorn off.
Throughout the day, more and more people have been coming here to leave flowers and pay their respects. It's thought the 3 teenagers who lost their lives were all aged around 16, and we've been told that they were on their way to a party. Many of the people who've been leaving flowers just across the road, you can see behind me, have been family and friends. Many of them look visibly upset. Now, police don't know if what happened was an accident, but they're not treating it as terrorism. A car mounted the pavement, and it's believed it's at that point that it then hit the 3 teenagers. What we do know is that a person inside the car, which was a black Audi, was arrested. He's a 28-year-old man. He was taken to hospital, and now police are appealing for witnesses.
Any of that?
Right.
So
I'd had to mute us both while it was on because otherwise you get a really bad echo, so we didn't hear any of that. So yeah, just wanted to go through the first bit with you. So straight away, the lie was put out by the mainstream media because I think this is crucial. The fact that they lied and said that the boys were stood stationary at the bus stop, because that makes it sound like, oh, it's, you know, the driver he's crashed and he's gone into it, but it wasn't like that. They were walking down the road, weren't they? They were never stood stationary at the bus stop.
no, they wasn't. And if you noticed the narrative there from the so-called newsreader, um, you know, I've got a different terminology for them, but I'll use that for now. The so-called reader, she speaks about 3 boys, when the fact the car aimed at all the boys that were on that pavement, walking along that pavement, which was 5 boys, and it just narrowly missed 2. I mean, one of one of the boys that survived, he did get just like sort of a scratch on his leg, really. But there was 5 boys the cars aimed at, and the boys, correctly as you just said, were never standing at a bus stop. But that was to give the perception to the public of how can a car, you know, kill 3 teenagers, narrowly miss another 2. How can they do that? Oh, let's say they were at the bus stop. So exactly what you said, you know, boys huddled around a bus stop, and that's how that could have been done, which was not the case at all. As we know, our boys were walking. They were walking along that on that pavement, and they were on a way to the 16th birthday party, which was just literally around the corner. When the car mounted the pavement in a straight line, it narrowly missed 2 boys. It then went and hit George, then went and hit my son. It then went and hit Harry. This is a long pavement, and I have the CCTV, and you can clearly see that the car never lost control. It never put on its brakes. Yeah, everything the media said from the start up until now, well, they try not to mention it now because they don't want to highlight me, because obviously I still speak out, so they don't want to highlight that fact. They don't want people to research me. Was a lie. It was all a fake narrative.
Yeah, 100%. Let me. That's sounding a bit dodgy. Can you hear me? Okay. It just
Yeah, can I just say, Edward, thank you for your comment before. I did see it. I just want to say thank you to Edward.
No problem. What I was going to do was, because you'd mentioned that, because I think this is important as well, that people need to see it. Let me just bring this up. 1 second. Here we go. So bear with me. I've got them all prepared. It's just I'm not entirely used to my Mac yet, so it's not like a normal PC. I've got files everywhere. So 1 second. Present, share screen, window, collision report 1. So this is, excuse me, 1 second. Sorry. So this is part of the collision report. So there was no physical evidence to indicate that the Audi ran along the curb or lost control at this point. If Chudasama lost control of the vehicle due to the amount of steering inputted into the vehicle at 71 miles an hour in order to complete the overtake, then I would have expected the rear lights visible on the CCTV to have swayed from side to side. Furthermore, the vehicle may have crashed in either direction within the 60 meters distance. At 71 miles an hour, it would have taken the Audi in order of 2 seconds to travel this distance. And then let me get the next bit up. There was no yeah, that was the same one. I've put the same one, bear with me. The Audi therefore mounted the footpath in a straight ahead position, supporting the fact that Chudasama did not lose control due to the overtake. This is also supported by its damage profile. If he lost control because of the overtake and the vehicle's speed, I would have expected the Audi to mount the footpath with one of its sides presented to the straight ahead position and ultimately the pedestrians. The front side of the Audi collided with a lamppost, displacing it into the carriageway and the brick pillar at the east end of the wall. This was knocked over and shattered. George, Josh, Harry, Lewis, and Kai were on the footpath walking in the same direction that the Audi was travelling in. The front side of the Audi collided with George, Josh, and Harry. So, like, it's in black and white there. This is what's so annoying, where people, like, and the charge as well, death by dangerous driving. Like, it was a deliberate act. He did it deliberately. He never lost control. And I'm sorry, but if it had have been an accident, which it wasn't, then you'd have stopped the vehicle and got out, and you'd have gone and seen to the people that you'd have hit. You wouldn't have ran in opposite directions to get away. And thank God for those two boys being there and apprehending that vile savage at the petrol station, because if they hadn't have done that, then he might never have been caught. Not that justice has been served anyway, because the sentence is an absolute travesty. And
Well, you know, regarding the sentence, it's about the charge, because if you get the correct charge, then you aim to get the correct sentence. But if you go for what they did, which was a charge, listen, if you're a murderer and you're going to be given a charge that's not going to make you look like a murderer, that is almost going to get you off, you're going to go for it. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened here, because the maximum sentence for what they charged him with was what he got. With what he got, I think it's 14 years at the time.
yeah.
Yeah. So they described the whole thing, which was fake anyway. Their narrative, and the media aided the police in this fake narrative. It wasn't just them saying what the police said. They aided this. That's a fact. And, you know, if you control the media, you can say what you want to any country. Yeah, you can get them to think what you want. You can tell them what you want. You can get them to believe what they want, because that's the only way stories come out. People like us who are real and telling real things, our stories don't get out there. Like, I'm shadow banned on most social media platforms. And that's because I'm trying to get the story of what happened to my son and his two friends out there, which is the truth. And the truth should matter. And investigations should matter. But in this case, there was no investigation, because I don't believe, just to say, that it started at the very start with the frontline police at the scene. Yeah, they were saying things. So it didn't start with them, the lie. The lie, I think, started around 11 o'clock that night for certain reasons, like SO15 were at the scene. Do SO15 goes to every so-called accident? No, they don't. They don't. Yeah. So there's so much to this story. It's very deep, and it's a story they don't want out there, because it's going to open up a can of worms. But anyway, carry on, James. Otherwise, I'm going to flip from one bit to another.
No. You carry on, because it's good for you to talk about it, because people need to know this. They need to know the lengths that the establishment have gone to ultimately hide this and cover it up. And like, it's just been an absolute like it's disgusting. It really is. Like I've been down to Shepperton Lane multiple times with you, many times, and like just to know that 3 boys had their lives taken there, and the fact that you know the mates of the driver, shall we say, can drive past at really high speeds, trying to intimidate you as you're going there to remember your son. Like it's just been, it's like they've treated you like you don't care, like you don't matter. Sorry, like they've got no care for how they've treated you, and that was evident on the night when didn't they leave you in the hotel for like hours on end before, but like they were they'd done something. I swear that was the case, wasn't it? They'd just taken you to a nearby hotel, and then it's just horrendous.
They took us to the Premier Inn, yeah, which I suppose is, even though the paperwork says a different place to that, the paperwork, from the police says a completely different place, but they didn't. They took us to the Premier Inn. I think it was around 11. I couldn't, even though all the families were at the scene that night, because we all got calls because obviously people knew our boys. They was on their way to this party. Um, it was just horrendous. So all us families went to the scene. When I originally first arrived at the scene, I thought my son had been run over. I'm in the car thinking, what's happened? Has he run into the road? Has he not looked? I never dreamed for a minute what happened after that and what I was told after that. Not for a minute. And it wasn't until I got to the scene that I realised George and Harry were also involved in this. Um, and because I saw the parents there, obviously I know a lot of the parents because this was their friend's birthday party. But when I saw their faces, I knew. I then knew, oh my God, George and Harry as well. So yeah, when they then, let's say 11 o'clock, according to their paperwork, but I couldn't give you the exact time, taken to the Premier Inn. Um, we wasn't told in a way you'd expect to be told. It's hard to explain those moments. Um, and another copper that was there said other things, which changed over the course of the next few days. Yeah. So this happened on a Friday night. It was by the Monday that we knew the police were lying about what they was telling us. Yeah.
It's evil. I mean, that's the thing. It's just it's disgusting how they think they can get away with it. Like the sheer disdain they show for boys that should have ultimately got justice. I hate the system. And Edward just said, so the phone wasn't found. I think that was. And the phone was non-existent. Pathetic police response again. Yeah, they didn't even. The road wasn't closed for that long either, was it? It wasn't ever
It
closed
wasn't
properly.
closed. Yeah, it wasn't closed for as long as it should have been. And just to address, because I can see something that Edward's written here. He's written, why did the driver and passenger sit in the car outside Asda for so long? I think it was planned. I don't know why. Right. Just regarding that, the police told us on that evening, earlier on, they were sitting in Asda car park for 2 hours and 20 minutes. They said, this is the police's version. They said they didn't get out of the car, no one approached the car, and then when they left Asda car park, they'd done a left, and then they vanished. This is what the police said. They vanished for another 2 hours and 20 minutes until they appeared there and did what they did. Now, the police said in those 2 hours and 20 minutes, when they left Asda car park, that there was no pings from their phones. They couldn't pick them up anywhere. Bear in mind,
London.
this is near Heathrow Airport. There's cameras everywhere. I've had to physically go and count the cameras myself. In Asda car park and Asda itself, I counted about 90 cameras. There's that many. And yet there's no footage of them allegedly in the car park at that moment. So, yeah, there's all these things like the police didn't go to the pub that we asked them to go to. One of the other parents asked them to go to because they had 32 cameras, because it would have proved that they came down from the fire station end, which would have showed premeditation murder, because it would have shown them come past and turn around, which is what we believe they did. Because something was also said to us on the Friday night at the Premier Inn, which I can't mention now. So they didn't. When I say they didn't go there, they actually did go there 6 weeks later, knowing it would have been overwritten on 30 days because businesses has to hold their CCTV for 30 days. So intentionally, they went there 6 weeks later so they could say, "Oh yeah, we went," but the footage was written over. The one footage that would have proved they came down the fire station end.
And it was wiped over.
It was what? Sorry.
They deleted the footage. They'd got
No,
rid
they
of
didn't
it.
delete it. What happens every 30 days, it gets re-recorded over the footage, yeah? Because businesses
Yeah.
hold the footage for 30 days. So every 30 days it gets they intentionally went 6 weeks later so they could say they went, but they didn't go till 6 weeks later knowing it would have been overwritten. So on the
That's
paperwork they can say, yeah, we went to that pub, but they didn't add, sorry, we went 6 weeks later, so it was overwritten.
How can they get away with that? And like, how can nobody be held to account? Because surely that's one of the first things that they should have done, wouldn't it? Like collate all the CCTV evidence of the surrounding area, not just leave it for 6 weeks. Like, I don't understand how they can get away with it.
Well, they did that. They also said, I've got it in the paperwork, where they said there's no camera from the Premier Inn facing the road when there clearly is. There's a camera right there facing the road, so you can see any cars going past, because yet again, that camera would have shown it turning around. So it was another camera they wanted to hide. Also, regarding the Esso garage, where I've got footage from, there's another camera. There's Euro car parks. The car park is owned by Euro car parks and not by Esso itself. There's a camera right there. They didn't mention that footage or get that. Well, they probably do have that footage, but again, just hiding it from us.
Insane. It's utterly insane. And like I said, it's just wrong to think that so many people are involved in it as well. It's not like it's like one or two people, is it? It's like multiple, like 50 over 50 people that are involved in it. Yeah, it's absolutely horrendous what's been allowed to happen. What I was going to suggest is I was going to put another part of the, we can work our way through the documentary, and then we can like start. Tell me when to stop it, and then we can address each point.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Or actually, do you want me to get, because what I was going to suggest is I could read the letter to the Attorney General and we could cover that and then go back into the documentary, whichever you think's more suitable.
Yeah, I think do that, because I tell you what, anyone who's watching this on a mobile phone will not be able to see any writing that's in the documentary. It'd be difficult for them. So
Okay.
I think any writing you come across, maybe read it for anyone who's using a mobile.
Yeah, okay, I'll get the first one up now. So this was a letter that was wrote to the then Attorney General Geoffrey Cox, which is, if my memory serves me right, that was the Attorney General that the Yellow Vest went in, wasn't it? And when you went and protested inside the Attorney General's office, and it was all over the news. The day of chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So this is Nick Hurd, sorry. So, dear Geoffrey, congratulations on your reappointment. I am writing to you again on the tragic case of the death of three boys, Josh McGuinness, Harry Rice, and George Wilkinson, killed by Jane S. Trudasama on the night of the 26th of January 2018. You were familiar with the case and reviewed it at my request, as did your predecessor. In your letter of the 26th of November 2018, you informed me that you did not see grounds for a retrial and that under the circumstances, you did not agree to the request for a meeting with the families because doing so would raise false hope. I've recently met with the families together with the Deputy Assistant Commissioner Matthew Horn of the Metropolitan Police, and as a result of that meeting, I am writing to ask you to reconsider the request for a meeting, and I do so in the strongest possible terms. As you know, the families believe very strongly that there has been a miscarriage of justice in relation to the death of their boys, and they believe that new evidence undermines the original investigation, charge, and judgment. Specifically, they believe that they can evidence their assertion that, number one, the original witness statements cannot be relied upon because they have heard directly from some witnesses that A, the witness, felt manipulated by the police in terms of what they could and could not say, and B, the witnesses, do not recognise the accuracy of the final statements. Let me just stop that one and get the next bit up.
Yeah, there was another bit that started below that. Number 2 started
Let's do
below
it.
that. There was 2 lines.
Yeah. Let me see if it's. Oh, it's gone. Right. Let me go. Hold on. So number 2, yeah, the statements from the police officers on the scene, which refer to 52 different officers, contain material inconsistencies and untruths. And then we've got number 3, key CCTV evidence has been doctored and some key cameras which should have been reviewed were not accessed in time. In addition, photo stills appear to have been doctored with fake timestamps. Number 4, the key witnesses for the police account, Horace Miller. This is based on CCTV evidence, which undermines the police account that he was driving a Ford Fiesta, which was the first vehicle to arrive at the scene. Horace Miller, the CCTV footage which I have seen appears to show that the first car on the scene was not a Ford Fiesta but a Corsa. The identity of the car and driver has not been revealed. I should mention that the families are also in the process of getting additional pieces and evidence from the police, which they believe will strengthen their argument about the failings of the investigation. Following an IOPC report, they are intending to commence legal proceedings against the Metropolitan Police. I am not a lawyer. I have also not seen all the evidence which the families believe undermines the criminal justice process so far and substantiates their demand for a retrial. However, my reading of the original collision report and my viewing of the admittedly limited CCTV shown to me does raise doubts in my mind. I'm also very clear that my constituents remain absolutely convinced that justice has not been served here, and I support their passionate determination to present their argument and evidence to a senior independent law officer consideration of a retrial. I'm copying in Boris Johnson, as he has also met with some of the bereaved as his constituents. I very much hope that you will reconsider this decision. So
Now,
that, go on, Tracy.
just to add, that letter, as we both know, was done on the 1st of August 2019. CC'd, as he said, Boris Johnson in it, although, you know, he has been met before by one of the other families, and the Attorney General. Now, to date, and it's now 2024, we did never get a reply to that letter from the Attorney General at the time. When 2 Attorney Generals joined after and he left, I sent that letter on to another 2 Attorney Generals, and still to date I've never got a courtesy reply. And as we both know, 6 weeks later, after Nick Hurd wrote that letter, he was shipped off to the Northern Ireland office, then he stood down as an MP. And I never heard from him again.
That's crazy. That is, it's not crazy. It's been done deliberate, and it's absolutely appalling. But that's the thing. There, you know, you've got the evidence for a retrial. There does need to be a retrial. So, what can we do to try and have we got to all start writing to the Attorney General as well to help, or what would you suggest that anyone, if wanted to help, that they'd be able to do? Because surely, I know we could start trying to raise more awareness on, I know it's X, but you've got a lot of the law offices that are on X. Maybe if everyone could tweet the Attorney General, if I upload or if you upload the letters later on after this stream, and we could all make sure that everyone's retweeting it, and actually try and get them to respond to you, because that's absolutely appalling. That was 5 years ago, and they've not even had the courtesy to get back in touch with you.
Not exactly that, not even a reply to say they've received the letter or they'll look into it. Absolutely nothing, because this is what they do, and it's common. It's what I've seen in the last 6 years. They move them along as well. That's what happened with Nick Hurd. That's what happened with someone else at the coroner's office. When I got in touch with them, I received an email back saying I'm leaving with immediate effect. You'll have to talk to someone else. So you just keep getting sent on this merry-go-round, so you end up going nowhere, and it's continuous, door closing after another door closing. When a new MP came in, I got David Simmons, I got in touch with him. He saw the letter actually on the night of the election, the general election, because obviously I stood against them as an independent. I did that. and we gave him the letter. Anyway, I started writing to him once he was well, they're not elected, they're selected, aren't they? Once he was selected to get in, I started emailing him. I heard nothing. I kept ringing the office. In the end, because I carried on persisting in calling up and emailing, I received a letter back from him clearly stating that I haven't got it up and I haven't got it here, so don't take it word for word, but basically what it was saying was how all the institution are amazed at my determination to seek justice. Well, that tells you it wasn't done then, doesn't it? You faltered there by saying that. But if there's anything else he can help with, please feel free to get in touch. So he wasn't interested in that. He was going to go no further than that. You know, at least with Nick Hurd, he had the guts to do it. And the reason why he did is I had many meetings with Nick Hurd leading up to that moment he wrote that letter. And that was because when we had that meeting and the Metropolitan Deputy Police Commissioner was at that meeting, he was quite rude, really, at that meeting. We were showing evidence. And that's what Nick Hurd saw. And that's what he said in that letter there. You know, although he only saw part of that, it left out, and part, you know, the collision report, which you've shown the two snippets on the two alleged manoeuvres, he saw that himself. And that's why he wrote that letter, because he also said in that letter that after seeing that, it now has raised out in his mind. But I think what you said about, you know, people tweeting the Attorney General, that's a good idea. Anything that helps. We've tried to fundraise. It's not something I'm comfortable with, to be honest with you, but it became no choice. And we're just not getting there because we're getting stopped every which way, as you know. In December of 2018, when we was at was it Gillingham and Charlton match? Brian the
Is
Lion,
that the one they threatened Brian with
yeah,
arrest? Yeah.
threatened him with arrest. And also, he said to a copper, there is a video on social media somewhere where the copper was saying to him, it's okay that the three boys died, you know, and, you know, the things we've suffered as families and will continue to suffer the rest of our life. But what matters to me is seeking justice for my son and those two boys. The truth should matter. I want justice for my son, and it wasn't served. Now,
No, you're quite
uh,
right.
yeah, just to say, we got the court bundle from the appeal court. I just want to add this in here. Now, that court bundle, because we've got it, it is filled with fake evidence, and that was served to the court. Now, how it works is the police gather the evidence, the police give what they've got to the CPS, who then create a court bundle and give it to the court. So it all came from the police.
So they've just used selective evidence that they wanted to give for the case.
No, not even selective. It's fake evidence. It's fake pictures with fake timestamps, which Nick Hurd was shown. Pictures with fake timestamps. There's statements in there that witnesses didn't write that we have confirmation of. There's one witness they used, which is important because that's also in there. One witness they used for all of this was not on that day, or let's say that evening, allegedly, and one in March, and both statements do not fit the scene. Because one, we have the CCTV, and two, there was other witnesses at that scene that can confirm the one they used for everything was not there. And certainly the car, and certainly the car that is behind the Audi is not the car that they said it was, that this fake witness was allegedly driving.
And how do they? And this is what I mean. How do they get away with it? Like, so obviously the CPS are just accepting whatever they're sent from the police, and what that's it, and then they just use that to base the trial on.
Well, basically it's that, but I know they do know, and the reason why they get away with it is because each institution covers up for each institution. The IOPC cover up for the police. The CPS cover up for the police. The courts will cover up for the CPS. Like if I can get in a court of law, I could prove tomorrow that our boys were murdered, and that the Met Police covered this up because of all the evidence we have. Like I said, I could prove it tomorrow. We've had private investigators up there. I've got out there. I've got other statements that have not been shown, even though that documentary was created, and I put a lot of evidence in there, which you're going to play some more of anyway, regarding the fire station that was on the same road and Circle and City Coaches. Plus, we've got Tony Kitchen, who said he didn't take a picture. That's very debatable. So there's so much evidence that I have put out there, but there's evidence I haven't put out there, because if I put everything out there and get into court, the judge can chuck it out on a technicality and just say everything's in the public domain, so it could sway a jury. And that's exactly what they would do. But the fact is, the courts were served fake evidence. So the courts based whatever they based their findings on that evidence, but that evidence was fake. Now, when we was in a CPS meeting, I'll just quickly say this in case you want to ask something or show something else. When we was in a CPS meeting for 2 hours, all the police that were involved in this were like the main police officers plus the liaison officer, all from Alberton Police Station. They were in this meeting, and after 2 hours of going through, that's where the collision report was read for the first time to us. We'd already sat there and said a lot of things to the CPS, because I'd done my own investigation to one of those that were in that car that night, and I found things on social media that certainly was not no allegiance to this country. And I printed them off. I took them to that meeting with me, and I passed it across the table to the CPS lawyer. I said, have a look at that. And he was just pulling a face and wasn't saying anything. And I said, what do you think of that? And he was just like, oh, well, yeah, it's uncomfortable to read, but there's nothing we can do about that. And just put the paperwork down. So I said to the woman lawyer, I said, and what do you think the charge should be then? And she said, and I will give her due, you know, where it counts, she said he should be charged with murder, but we can only go on what the police give us. And she said that in front of them. You know, so I've got nothing to say about her, because at least she had the guts to say that in front of them. So everything, every case, everything is what the police give to the CPS.
That's crazy. So the police are basically ultimately like actively screwing up cases then, if that's what they desire to do. It's like they're all purposely covered it up, haven't they, because of who the driver and the passenger were. But the fact is that they've, like I said, that they've been allowed to get away with it. What gets me as well is they never went to search the driver's property either, because they didn't want to wake the family up because they were sleeping. Like 3 boys had just been killed, you'd be going in there, wouldn't you? And this is what I mean. They've showed disdain for the boys from start to finish.
That's insulting. When they said that, they actually said that to one of the other parents while we were all there in the CPS meeting. That's exactly what they said. Because I said, why didn't you search the driver's home? Because obviously I had all this printout from who they alleged was the passenger. I had all this social media printout where the other one that they claim was the driver, they wiped his social media within 48 hours. So all his stuff was wiped. They obviously didn't want to see whatever post he used to post. So that was all wiped. But I managed, because I found out who the passenger was, or the alleged passenger, you know, I could get all his stuff and print it off. And there's lies around that with what the police said to us as well. But yeah, so the copper, I said, why didn't you search a home? They said we couldn't get a Section 18. I said, that's a lie, because you only have to make a phone call for a Section 18. I said, you go in people's homes if they've stolen something. You know, they turn up anywhere, don't they, and just raid people's houses. And yet you're telling me 3 children have been murdered and you couldn't get a Section 18. And then they said to the other parent, they said, well, we did go round there, but people were sleeping and we didn't want them to disturb them. I can't tell you how insulting that is to those 3 boys.
I know, it really is. It's despicable. Oh, we didn't search the property because they were asleep. They wouldn't have, like, how? That's what I mean. How can you get away with that, like, standard of just not caring? Like, that's what I mean. there needs to be full accountability. All of the officers that are involved in it need to be held to account. People need to be jailed. People need to be charged. Like, ultimately, 3 boys have been murdered and there's still been no justice. And the fact that you're attacked every time that you try and bring it to the surface again, which must be extremely difficult, because as well as doing that, you're trying to grieve as well. I can't ever imagine what it'd be like to lose a child, and I don't pretend to claim to know how you feel. So, look, the fact that you're still fighting after all this time just is a testament to how strong you are as a woman. And I'm just sorry that you haven't been able to get justice yet. It really is a travesty. And like I said, it's been going on now for over 6 years. Like, the fact that the police, it's not just like it's one institution either. You've got the police, you've got the politicians that are involved. Didn't you have meetings with Sadiq Khan as well?
Yes, we had a meeting with Sadiq Khan in August of 2018. Now, in that meeting as well was a borough commander who is in our documentary, actually, the same borough commander. Now, in that meeting, we said we wanted all the disclosure and non-disclosure. And the borough commander wrote all the points down of everything we wanted. The only thing we didn't want was pictures of our boys at that scene, because they were in a very bad way. So we didn't want those pictures. They were the only things we didn't ask for, but we asked for everything else, even from the helicopter, everything. So they wrote it all down. We had this meeting, and before we left the meeting, Sadiq Khan said to the borough commander, right, you've got 6 weeks to do this, and if you're delayed within the 6 weeks, then please let the families know. So 7 weeks went by, nothing. So one of the other family members emailed the borough commander, and his email back to us was, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the meeting. I don't know what you was asking. And this is what they do all the time. It's about wasting your time. It's about lying. The amount of meetings I've had, promise things, come away, nothing materializes, all sorts has gone on.
It's insane. It's horrible. It really is horrible. Right. What I was going to suggest was I was going to bring a bit more up of the documentary, and the bit that I wanted to go to. Where is it? Where's my notes? 17 minutes in. So let me just get onto that 1 second. Share screen. Actually, no, the fire station bit first. That was it. So it was 30. Yeah. Right. Okay. Let me load that. Is that? Yeah, that's there. Okay, and play.
You might want to read that to the people who have got mobiles.
What's it in relation to?
It's in relation to the incident of what happened to 3 boys down outside the cemetery.
Let me unmute myself. Which bit? Sorry, I just missed that. I've just grabbed.
Yeah, it's all right. It was just the first bit, just to explain to anyone who's following, who's using a mobile, because you won't be able to see that writing. My apologies. Basically, what you're hearing now is where I doorstepped and went to the fire service. Now, the fire service is on the same road that this happened to our 3 boys. It's on the same road, and it would have taken them 18 seconds in one of their fire engines to get to them, but they was held off, and this is what you'll hear.
Okay, right, let me get that on.
Ah, that one.
Yeah, well,
Right.
that wasn't a bus stop, but yeah, that one. So it's in relation to that. We've got some stuff to show you as well.
So where are you from?
We're doing a public investigation, so we've got some stuff to show you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got some stuff to show you as well.
Okay, I don't know which watch attended that.
Yeah, I want to join here
Yeah.
end of November
Yeah, yeah.
for Christmas.
Or just anyone, if there's anyone we can speak to like here that is
Check a diary, find out who's
either
on watch.
aware of
Yeah.
the situation.
We can have a look and see who was in, because
Thank you.
but
Thank you.
as far as I'm aware, from memory, we had very little to do with the incident.
Yeah.
As far as the Fathergate involvement was really, really minimal. Because we get called when persons are trapped, etc., and we weren't called to that.
Yeah,
I couldn't give you the exact circumstances because I don't know.
yeah. Well, we've got details that apparently you was.
Sorry, just to say, because I think there's a tiny bit of a lag, just for the people listening again. You heard him there say they weren't, first of all, he said they had a minimal dealings with it. Then he said they wasn't called to that. So I then showed a screenshot where you could see a fire engine at the scene. But the fact is they were held off that night till almost an hour later. Go on, James.
Okay.
Was called at 9:27 that night. And it was the 26th of the 1st, 2018. Now we have a recorded call to the emergency services, which was made more or less straight away. In that, which we're happy to play you if you wanted to listen. And in that call straight away, which was more or less straight away when the incident happened, they're stating that the car looks like it's going to explode, that there's smoke coming from the car and things like that. So on that notion, I would have assumed that the fire service would have been called straight away for something like that. Isn't that something normally that the fire service would deal with? That's something that is for a fire service. It's not for the police to attend if a car is smoking, is it? It's for the fire service, I would assume.
Yeah, again, depending on what it's difficult to say. We get called to cars smoking all the time, but it does depend on what was exactly said in the call.
Right, bear with me one moment. Are you at the car or? Literally about to be here in 1 minute. Okay. Is there anyone in the car? They've run off. Oh, right, so no one's in the car? No one's in the car. Right. Sorry? Hello? Hello, what's going on? I don't know, but the car's like burning and everything. I don't know if it's blow up. Right, are you all away from it now, yeah? Yeah. And there's definitely no one in the car? No one's in there. There's people there. They said no one's in there at all. But we can't really see them at all. Right, okay. What I'll do then, if an ambulance is not required, I'm going to hang up the phone.
I just want to pause that quickly because I just want to go into what that says because it is quite relevant. It wasn't an error of judgment. There was a reason for this. It's almost like they held off the fire service deliberately because, like you said, if there've been reports that the car's smoking, like it's going to catch fire, and the fire station's only literally just down the road. Like, how many seconds away is it? 30 seconds?
18 seconds in
Oh,
there.
18. Less than 30 seconds, yeah.
Yeah.
And what time did they arrive at the scene?
9:27 they was held off to.
And that was about 45 minutes after, wasn't it?
Well, a bit longer because the time there's a bit of a discrepancy, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So
right.
they was held off, and the reason why they was held off in the paramedics reports that we have, they say a lot more, and the paramedics reports do not state this as being an accident. They actually say a scenario in there. It's not a correct scenario, but the point is they don't portray this as an accident. And they also state in there that it's gold paged. Now, gold page means operational, tactical, and there's another word I can't think off the top of my head now, which meant that all 999 calls got transferred to a different control centre, which is at Lambeth. and Lambeth is where counter-terrorism is.
That's so it's insane. So why would they be holding it if it wasn't if it so if it wasn't being treated as terrorism, why was all the calls being put through to the place that deals with terrorism, anti-terrorism?
Exactly that. Why was the fire service held off? Why, when someone's rung in, and exactly what you said, anything to do with a car, there could be spillages. If you listen to what that young girl says right near the end, she's trying to say, I can't see. First of all, they say, is anyone there? And she's like, they've run off. And then she says, right at the end, but I can't see. And there was a reason for that. Straight away, that should be the fire service. Like I said, spillages, someone's trapped, someone could be trapped underneath. They would go there without a doubt, and they was on the same road. And not only that, they would have defibrillators, they would have medical equipment, and they would have been the quickest to get to those boys, because 2 were still alive. Even though the police told us they all died instantly, it was proved later they didn't. 2 were still alive, 1 died instantly.
So again, why the need for why did they that's what I mean, they've lied about everything.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a complete stinking cover up that needs calling out. Like I said, those coppers that were mentioned in the start of the documentary, they need calling out for what they've done. They really do. I don't know how they can sleep at night knowing that they've willingly covered up the murders of 3 boys. And like you said, it should be the correct charges, which is 3 murder charges and 2 attempted murder charges. It should be looking at life in prison. Life means life, not getting out after 4 or 5 years and walking the streets. This is one of the most terrifying things as well, is the fact that he's back in London walking the streets, potentially could do it all over again. And then is that what it's going to take to vindicate what you're saying? That's how crazy the country has become. I'm so sorry that you've had to endure this for so long. Like I said, I can't imagine what it's like losing a child, and the fact that you're fighting so hard really is a testament to you. So I just find that, like I said, with the fire station as well, 18 seconds away, but yet they were held off for over 45 minutes when they could have provided vital first aid, and they didn't do that. It stinks of a cover up. So we just got a message as well from Rory. Much love and respect to Tracy for continuing to point out this travesty of justice. R.I.P. those boys.
Thank you, Rory.
So,
and thank you to anyone who's listening and who already knows the story and have supported me all the way. And to any new listeners that are listening to this, you can find the documentary on YouTube. Maybe let them know that at the end, in case they want to watch it all in one go and see it a bit clearer, James.
Yeah, that's what I was. I'll put the link in. Actually, let me just put that into the. Hold on. I'll have to put it in after I retweet with the link. I'll send it out in a DM as well. I've also put out for you a tweet to the Attorney General, just asking them why they haven't got back to you guys after 5 years, and to basically expect more protests if they continue to do nothing. Because at the end of the day, you're not going away, you're not going anywhere, and you're going to keep fighting until you get justice. And it's just a shame it's already we're 6 years in already. 6 years have gone by, and like I said, I just don't know how you do it. I really don't. I don't know whether I'd be able to carry on if that happened to me. So shall I go to the next part of the documentary? So so I'll just find it once. We've done that 36 and 30. Oh yeah, it's coming up to it now anyway, so I'll put that back on. Oh, Tracy, sorry to interrupt. Just say, did you want to let them know, for people that are watching on mobile, if they can't see it with the writing?
Yeah, so basically the bit before said, that the police did not tell us about the bus that was behind a car. So it was 2 cars behind that came down after, and the police never told us about a bus. There was a statement in there, but it wasn't a bus that they said come down. They said it was a Circle and City coach. So not one police statement mentions this bus, and we believe they didn't mention it because it would have had CCTV. So the Circle and City coach part was just a red herring.
So they said it was a different bus, so then no one would be able to obviously go and check the CCTV on the bus, which would go against what they've said happened.
Exactly.
Disgusting, absolutely disgusting. Somebody, Edward Anna Natty, is asking, are you contactable via Facebook now, Tracy? I haven't seen you on there for ages.
Yeah, hi Edward. I am Tracy, daughter of Leonard, on Facebook. Plus, I've got the Fighting for Justice Facebook page for the boys. I do lives, but I am shadow banned on all social media platforms. So that's probably why you don't see me about, even though I am about.
Okay, right, there you go, Edward. Right, let me put the rest of this on. Apologies if I don't seem with it. It's nearly 2:15 in the morning here, so I am fully with it. Just my voice has gone a bit croaky, so I do apologise, guys.
Probably if I looked a bit closer, I could probably get the model, but I would say that's an ADL Dart vehicle. You could see there's lights on it inside, and you could see something that looks like a building block, but it might be the luggage racks inside.
Yeah.
It's luggage racks inside. It's definitely a hotel hopper because they have luggage racks instead of seats.
Yeah.
Or it might be the one that they've got that's got like an all-over advert for Stonehenge and various Warwick castles and things like that on it. But I can tell you 100% categorically that the video footage, and I'm not saying the vehicle hadn't come along Shepperton Lane at some point, but I'm as confident as I can say from overhearing, and obviously once the police are gone, the guys are talking about it in the office. I can guarantee that it came up. None of our vehicles came along just either side of the accident. But I obviously want to be cautious about what I say.
It doesn't make this statement true then.
So basically, what you've got here is we doorstepped Circle and City coaches because we knew, after looking at Google Maps, it's a long story, after looking at Google Maps, that what this witness statement said couldn't be right. So a doorstep Circle and City coach, and what you have here is the owner of Circle and City coaches speaking, who confirms that basically is a hotel hopper bus. It isn't one of his coaches. So the statement that says it was the coach at the scene is a lie. And allegedly that come from one of their Circle and City coaches employees, but it isn't. It's a retyped version written by the police.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up for us. I just thought, in case anybody that couldn't see it on the screen. All right, let me press play.
It's hard to get all this in 1 hour because this.
Yeah, well, I think we might have to. What I was going to say is we might have to do another one. So I was going to suggest we watch the rest of this, scene, and then there was just. I wanted to
show a bit of the boys at the start.
Yeah, that's what right. It wasn't at the start, was it? I've got the picture of the boys as well. But which part of the documentary as well were we going to play? Was it towards the end?
You was going to play the bit at the end, but you was going to play, the 2 young boys speaking.
Oh yeah, we need to play those. So what I'll do is then I will finish this off, and then we'll play the 2 young boys speaking, and then we'll wrap up, and I think we'll have to make a part 2 for whenever you're free. if that's suitable for you, or what do you think's best?
Yeah, no, of course, because I think anyone watching this for the first time, they may be a bit confused by it all.
Yeah, we've still got people joining as well. We're up to there's quite a lot watching, 1,600 odd in there on viewing it. So I'll play the rest of this, and then we'll go back to the two boys that were speaking as well.
The coaches are. I suppose it does show through, does it? I'm pretty sure that they would have done a witness statement in handwriting at the time, because they would certainly need to have it signed, or unless they did it and then brought it back and had it signed at a later date.
But that still begs the question of them trying to say, or this gentleman, you know, I have my own thoughts on that when they retype up people's versions and don't get them signed by the people. You know, it makes me query that, where they're trying to say that third vehicle that was on the road that night in the vicinity of that collision was City and Circle, and it wasn't. It was a hotel hopper bus, which then makes that part of the statement a lie.
That bus there is definitely a hotel.
Yeah.
I'll put the mortgage on that.
Right, so that's what I mean. But this is, I mean, you're having to go out and investigate this yourself. This is what you've been doing for years, isn't it? Going and correlating all the evidence and speaking to everybody that well, not everyone, but you know what I mean. As many people as possible.
That's exactly what I've had to do. I mean, in the beginning, we did have the help from a private investigator, but they're expensive, so you can only go so far with them. But you know, a couple of good things did come out of hiring that private investigator, and then from then on, everything's mainly been myself. You know, with people that do support me and help me. But yeah, going around counting cameras, speaking to people, speaking to witnesses who were there, showing them their statements that we have, getting confirmation that's not what they said, getting other witness statements that are missing from the pile we have that were not in there. You know, so there's so much to it, and I shouldn't have to do that. Justice should have been served, and the truth should have been told, but it wasn't. Now, when we came out onto the streets, because as you know, I was already letting the police know that we knew they were lying. The other family members were doing that as well. And then I thought, how am I going to get out our boy's story to the country, because the media were lying. We was talking to the media and they wasn't printing our story. Every time we saw that what they'd written was not what we'd said. And then if they filmed anything, they cut it down to 10 seconds to make it sound like we was agreeing with what they were saying. And then when you go through all of this, you then realise actually what the media are there for. You know, and it tells you a lot about what's going on in this country. So on March the 18th, 2018, I went to Speaker's Corner, and I spoke to anyone who would listen, went up on some steps. It was snowing that day, it was cold, but I didn't care. I just wanted people to know what happened to our boys. And it's just gone on from there, really.
Yeah, and your fight has been it's been long. I remember seeing some of the times that you've gone down to Speaker's Corner as well. But that's what I mean. That's how broken the country is. The fact that you've had your son murdered, and yet you're having to trail the streets and to get something that should be a basic universal human right, which is justice. And at the end of the day, that's all you've ever wanted. And that's what I mean. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take. I truly believe that you will get it in the end, because I know how much of a determined person you are, and I know how much Josh meant to you as well. And it's like I said, it's just heartbreaking that we're like I said, we're 6 years into it now, and it's still not been sorted. And like I said, I'll keep going on about it because it winds me up, the fact that he's walking the streets, he's able to live his life as though nothing has ever happened, and everybody else is trying to repair their lives, and it will never be the same again. But meanwhile, he gets to be happy. It absolutely, oh, it's infuriating. So the next bit that I've got up is I believe this is the interview with the two lads. They were the ones that were at the scene at the night, weren't they? So I would suggest we watch this, and then I'll play out the boys part as well, and then we'll wrap up if that's okay.
Yeah. Before you play the boys' part at the end, just to end this interview off, stop it at the end of this because I just want to say something about these two lads.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Thank you.
And we said, yeah, we see what happened. And he said, okay. And he said, can you just leave the area, leave the scene.
Let me just. So this is just so for the first time the witnesses watch the CCTV footage of their presence at the scene. So this is them watching themselves at the scene.
So there's the bus. We were behind the bus. We were already here by this point. Okay, so altercation's happening. Yeah, we was already here by now. There was no... Is it a van? There was no van. No van.
So they're just saying there, sorry to interrupt, but I just want people to know. So they're looking at the CCTV footage and there's a van that's going through there, but they're saying that the van was never there that night.
Yeah, because with the CCTV footage, to make it clearer, it's been heavily doctored and there's reasons for that. And I can't say all the reasons tonight because this part of it is for court. But yeah, it's been heavily doctored. Yeah, so
okay,
things put in there that didn't happen. Yeah, but I'll let it carry on because I can't say no more.
No. I mean, we was already here because we saw the altercation and we were the first person. I was the first person to say anything about an altercation in a forecourt of a petrol station. So I know we were there when it was happening. And our car's not even there yet. I mean, this altercation's already over, so... No. So where are we then? There, that's us. So everything's over and we're arriving, so how would I know that there was any kind of altercation or anything if we weren't there when it was going on? And we were directly behind that bus. I spoke to the bus driver. We sat behind the bus. I had a conversation with the bus driver and we stayed behind that bus until the point that he left. And all these cars that appeared to be driving through the scene, it's not possible. It's not possible.
So they've tampered with the footage. There's cars going through that didn't go through.
Well, there are some cars that did go through there because there's another footage in this footage from a lorry that has also been tampered with. Yeah. But what some of these cars did, and I can understand why they thought that some of these cars, it was impossible for them to get through because in a way it was, but some of these cars just drove on the pavement. They didn't care about the victims that were there. Some of them just drove on the pavement to get out of there. But then, it was mayhem there. They may not have realised what was going on. It, may have looked chaotic. these two young lads thought someone was being stabbed. There was stabbings going on, you know. So it was a very hectic scene at that moment. You've got them running from the car that did it. You've got two boys chasing them. The altercation they're talking about didn't happen before, because the way the media mentioned the altercation, if you read it, it could have sounded like an altercation happened beforehand, when it didn't. It was after, when they were trying to run after those that run out of the car, and they apprehended one of them, which they caught in the forecourt of the garage.
Thank God they were there. It's just, this is what I mean. I just don't, like I said, it's the sheer fact that, like, with what these lads are saying on the screen, they were there that night, but yet the footage isn't replicating what happened. Like, that must be like, it must be sending you a bit, like, not you, I mean them itself, like, are they questioning themselves? Because and is that what the goal is? Because, like, this is what I mean. If they can, you know, ultimately tamper with footage like this, what else can they do? It's really actually quite scary. I mean, given all the, you know, the technological advances with AI, they can make things seem to have happened that haven't happened, and think it's crazy, scary as well at the same time.
Well, funny enough, I think it was about a year later, you had that program called Capture that came on the TV, and they showed you in there how they can manipulate CCTV. And that's what they did in this case. That's why there's fake pictures with fake timestamps, and you can prove it. And that's what we showed Nick Hurd. Look, here are the pictures. There's a fake timestamp, and there's something else that goes with that to prove that. You know, so this is what they do. This is how the depth they've gone to hide the truth from, or what they thought from us families and the rest of the people in the country.
It's got to be a high level cover up though, for it has, isn't it? It's got to go to the highest levels for something like this. It's insane.
Well, exactly, and you know, it's not just the police covering this up. It's all the trolls online that try and say things about me or my son. My son was innocently on the way to a birthday party. These boys, all those 5 boys, none of them knew those in that car. It was ever who was on the pavement at that time. Yeah, because that party, that particular road isn't a road. I've been there enough to know, you've been there. It's not really a road. It's more like a cut through, but it's not really a road where you get loads of people walking. But that night, this party was arranged at Goals in Hayes, and it was on social media, this party, yeah? So people knew that there was going to be a party that night on that road, and there was going to be all these children walking down it who wouldn't normally be walking down it.
Yeah. It's horrible. And that girl as well, whose birthday it was, she hasn't celebrated her birthday since it happened, has she?
Well, it's always going to be with her, isn't it? And any of those kids that saw their friends in the state they were at that scene. Now you think, right? Here's a scene. It probably goes over quite a few meters. You've got 3 boys that have died there. You've got 2 that were narrowly missed. You've got a car further up there. You've got debris about. How many pictures do you think the police forensic officer took that night at that scene? How many pictures would you assume that she would have taken? Hundreds, yeah, hundreds. 18.
18.
18.
No, it should have been hundreds. I've seen what this. I've seen the whole thing, the stretch of the road. That's more than a lot more, because you'd have to get So not only have you got the cover, but you've got the also substandard of policing and everything else that's happened since then, and the fact that they, like you said, they never closed the road properly. They didn't clean up the road properly, and it's just, like I said, it's been an absolute travesty ever since. But like I said, watching these lads' reaction to their own CCTV footage is absolutely crazy. It just goes to show you how corrupt the police are. Did you want me to get back into the rest of it?
Yeah, just play a little bit more.
Okay.
It's not possible. when they walked over to that van, they were walking over to us because that's when they said they wanted us to phone the emergency services for them. Yeah, there's no way they can move through.
How does that make you feel?
Just sick, angry and sick, because I know for a fact that I was there when the altercation was taking place. Before it even started to happen, we were there in the car. So the fact that it seems that we've come back so far, we're so much further back in this footage, the question that I'm asking is how would we know, how would I know, being the first person to give a witness statement to the press? There's no other information out there. How did I know this happened if we were all the way back? How? Who told me? No one. I didn't know anyone on that scene personally. We were just two citizens coming across this. It wasn't, we didn't know anything. So yeah, sick, makes me feel sick and angry because it feels like a crime against us and our truth.
Yeah. It's just painting an incorrect picture, and it's just manipulation, really, because we know that did not happen the way that we've just seen that.
And it's just horrible that they would take us, two innocent people, and make us look like liars or paint us out to be much further back. We didn't see any of this. And if the families of the victims were to look at my statements and then look at this footage, they would think that I'm a liar, and that really hurts because we've always told the truth and nothing but the truth. And even here, when you can see the bottom of our car, with this red car, the altercation's already finished, and we were already there. So I know that this is not right.
Okay. That's it's difficult to watch as well, Trace, because so like what they're saying, so that they've definitely tampered with it because their car was already, they were already there when the altercation. So, but their car's only just, it's strange.
Yeah, and when he got interviewed by Detective Sergeant Jane Shaw, at the end of the interview, he got interviewed round her house, and she asked if no one could be present in the house other than him, which is a bit odd anyway. But anyway, at the end of it, he said, "Will I be needed for court?" And she said no, and he said, "Well, why not?" And she said, "We just need your statement so we can file it."
To file it?
Just to file it.
Like
the
so not
same.
use it.
Yeah, basically.
So what's the point in taking the statement?
Well, it's the same thing like going to that pub 6 weeks after when they knew it would be overwritten within 30 days. It's a tick box, isn't it? Oh yeah, we did that. Oh yeah, we've done that. Yeah, but I've never seen those boys' statements. I've never seen those boys' statements. They're not in the statement pack. There's many statements missing. And the rest of the statements that are in there are all retyped versions, unsigned.
Unsigned?
Unsigned.
A bit dodgy as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very dodgy indeed. If anybody in the chat has got any questions as well, just pop a comment in and I'll highlight it and I'll make sure I ask Tracy. You wanted me to play the last part of the video now, if I'm right,
Well,
a bit.
yeah, I just thought, maybe play it from where I start talking if you're going to finish the stream.
Yeah.
From where I speak right at the end and then just play it out might be better because they hear a little bit more then.
Ah, okay, yeah. So hold on, we've got it.
Yeah, just where I start.
Let me tee it up for you. Yeah, I just want to say that like we have got to try and do what we can to support like victims of injustice as well. And like for me, this case and this issue is one of the most important to me, and I think it is to a lot of other people as well. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and slag other people off, because that's not the purpose of the stream. The purpose of the stream is to show people this that might haven't seen it. But it's just disheartening at times to know that all the work and effort that you've put in over the past few years has sometimes resulted in people attacking you, trying making up nefarious lies about you as well, and other people around you to try and sabotage it. It really does disappoint me, and that's why I'm so, well, I get so angry about it, because at the end of the day, it's 3 children that were murdered and justice hasn't been served. It doesn't matter. Do you know what? It doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you sit on. It doesn't matter who you are. Anybody can see that this is immoral and it's wrong, and ultimately you and the other families, and Josh, Harry and George, they deserve justice and they should get justice.
See, the thing is, anyone who tries to sabotage this, and they have done over the last 6 years, as we all know, the trolls and everything else, they are just aiding the police, and they're part of that network, because there's no other reason for them to do what they do other than being part of that. And to me, they're just as much as complicit in the murder of my son as those who were in that car that night. Anyone intentionally trying to hide this and sabotaging this is part of it.
Yeah, 100%. No, at the end of the day, no one should be trying to sabotage, a story, not a story, sorry, a case about children that need justice. Like I said as well, it's this is the reality of it, is that the murderers walk in the streets, and the children have never been able to live their lives and grow up and achieve everything that they could have achieved, and had children themselves and become great British citizens. It's really upsetting. So like I said, I can't imagine how upsetting it is for you, but you have got a strong support base. There are a lot of good, honest, moral people that are fully supportive of you and fully supportive of getting the boys justice, which is great to know. But yeah, what we'll do is then we'll play out with this. This is on for 9 minutes, and then I'll close the stream off. So is there anything you wanted to say before I played this bit, Tracy?
Yeah, no, just thank you to all the listeners. I'm sorry I couldn't get Twitter up to see, to name some of you and to say hi properly. Just thank you for listening tonight, and please look up the documentary. I'm on Facebook. I do get hidden, but I've got the Fighting for Justice page. You'll see loads of videos I do on there, because it's important, and the justice to anyone should affect everyone, because it means it can happen to you tomorrow. When I first came out on the streets, I thought we was the 3rd biggest cover up in this country, but coming out and meeting all different other families that are, living with pain with what they're going through, and the injustices that so many people are going through. And there is so many. We're not the 3rd biggest cover up. There's enough injustices in this country to blanket the whole of the UK, and something needs to be done about it.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. I fully agree with you, and I just want to say thank you for coming on, because I know how difficult it is for you to come on. And yeah, thank you to everybody in the chat tonight that's been commenting. And what we'll do is we'll play this next 9 minutes, and then what I'll do. Are you free over the weekend, Tracy, at all?
I know I'm not on Sunday.
What about Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday's fine.
Right, so what we'll do is we'll do a part 2 on Saturday, Saturday evening as well, to where we can finish the rest of it. And like I said, if there's anybody, just go over to Tracy's YouTube page, and if you haven't watched the documentary, please go and give it a watch. Tracy's also on Facebook as well, on Fighting for Justice. So, right, let me put this video on.
Thank you.
You see 2 witnesses in the documentary you've just watched. Since getting in contact with us and doing the filming with us, they have had threats, messages sent to them with my picture claiming to be me. And because of that, that is why we had to make the decision to cover up their faces and cover up their voices. Prior to that, They was happy to go on camera, show their faces, have their real voices. But after the threat they received to keep them safe, we've had to cover up their voice and their face. I wish that we could give you everything that we know, but because our aim is to get into court, have the right charge put on all of those that were in that car that night, all of them. And the right charge is 3 times murder, 2 attempted murder. This was not death by dangerous driving. Far from it. But there's one thing that I want to ask the Met Police, and that I've never put out there before, which is, at the time our boys were murdered, there was the alleged Darren Osborne case going on. Why is it, on the day our boys were murdered, which was the day the prosecution had finished their case, and the actual case finished on the 2nd of February 2018. Why was it that one of those involved in that case was at the scene of our boys? Met Police? Why was he there? And why, just a few months after what happened to our boys, I had a woman approach me, pretending to be a victim. She wasn't a victim. But in meeting her, the one thing she wanted me to do was to go to Finsbury Park Mosque and have a picture taken with the in-man there. Why? Why would someone try and get me to do that? It's been a hard journey. It'll be 4 years next month. It's painful every day. And I shouldn't have to do this. I shouldn't have to do this at all. I had one copper throughout this whole 4 years say to me, "Don't stop fighting." I said, "I won't." And they said, "Make sure you don't." Now, it should have been that copper doing what I'm doing. Should have been all those coppers that night doing the investigation, but they didn't. They chose to cover the crime up. And I just want to add again that we have been fighting for the correct charge, not fighting the sentence, not fighting the sentence. We've been trying to fight for the correct charge of 3 times murder, 2 attempted murder, which will then sort out the sentence itself. I can say to you that we have come across no evidence whatsoever for it to show that Chudasama was the driver that night. But that's not to say that he wasn't. That's just to inform you that we have not come across no evidence for that. Another thing the police did was the very next day, when they interviewed Chudasama, they gave Chudasama and his solicitor the full names of the witnesses that were at the scene. Many of them children. Why would you do that? Why would you do that, Met Police? Why would you give one of the murderers and his solicitor the full name of the children who were at that scene the very next day? And we have the evidence of that. Also, Met Police that night, SO15 were at the scene. SO15 were there. We have that in the statements we have. In the paramedics' reports, it clearly states it was a gold-paged incident, which means the police took this all over. The police controlled all of this, and those emergency services, including the fire station that is on Shepperdston Lane itself, where the incident occurred, which means it was tactical, operational, and strategic. And they divert all calls to a completely different control centre. You heard the woman who answered one of the 999 calls tell the caller to stay on the line and ask for the police. Ask for the police when it was a fire service remit. What they did to our poor boys was treat them as if they were nothing, that our boys didn't matter to them. They just cast them aside like they meant nothing. Yet they meant everything to us.
Just don't think you understand. We have to make the boys look away, Lord. Now we're gonna shame the police. Justice for the free. I just don't think you understand. We need to make some noise. They took away my boy. And now we're gonna shame the police. Don't show the way. Justice for the free. Just don't think you understand. We have to make some noise. Look away, boy. Now we're gonna shame the police.
Right, everybody. Once again, thank you for watching. We are coming back Saturday, aren't we, Tracy?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, so we'll be back 6. You want to do 6 o'clock Saturday night or a bit later?
Yeah. Whatever's easiest for you, because
Well, I
obviously
can do-
your time is different.
Yeah, I'm midnight. That would be I can midnight for me. Saturday night will be fine.
Yeah, do it 6 o'clock, and I think we'll try and put it in a better order for anyone new listening.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It comes across a lot more clearer, I think.
Yeah, well, I still think people have got the message that you were putting out as well, which is crucial as well. Yeah, I reckon they will have. And like I said, guys, if you can, anything to do with fighting for justice, if you go over to Tracy's Facebook page, if you could help share videos and the information that she put out about the boys' case, that'd be really beneficial in helping to raise awareness for it. But yeah. Thank you to everybody that's been in the chat tonight, and thank you, Tracy, for coming on. And I'll see you all tomorrow night at 6 o'clock for the big expose. So yeah, I'll see you later, Tracy.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Just to say, I'll finish it with this. You said earlier, how do these people sleep at night? And I'll say, evil has no shame, because this country isn't safe, and people don't. Not everyone realizes that. I know some people do, but they hide it all. That's what the media are there for. Control the media, you can control the thoughts of people.
No, you're absolutely bang on there. Propagandists, that's what they are, the evil people. Well, thank you for coming on, Tracy. And yeah, we'll see you guys Saturday night at 6 o'clock. Take care.